Mike, I want to talk about AI. We
Sure.
hear a lot about AI here, AI there, AI everywhere. So how do you define AI for a layman, right? So let's say I'm out there, I'm just getting started, or I'm not too familiar, because this is a question a lot of people have. They're not too familiar with AI. Again, we hear it a lot. Maybe the geeks or people in tech, they are very familiar. But for some, it's still not, it's a buzzword. So as somebody working in distribution, should I be scared or should I be excited? What is AI?
Well, if people get in routines, we sell a lot more painkillers than we do vitamins in this country or in every country. There's an old saying that nobody likes change with one exception, and that's a wet baby. So if somebody's in their little groove and they go, it's Thursday, and so we always do fish on Thursday or whatever it is they've got, they're probably going to be terrified with this because it's going to create a lot of change, ton of change. But if you kind of go back and take a look at it, and you look at the history of global economies, or especially North America and the US, and you look at the rise in GDP, even with the Depression and the Great Recession and wars and everything else, the trend line just keeps going. The quality of life and the economic value keeps improving all the way through. So as a country and as a global world, fortunately, on the planet, we're going to be more efficient. They'll be creating more jobs. A lot of old jobs will go away. So it's going to be individual for each person. But this whole AI thing's been around for a long time. All the hype that's out there now is all be around large language models. And it all started with OpenAI when they released GPT-2. And then GPT-2 started bringing in people in the business community. And then GPT-3 just punched it all through. Everybody got freaked. And I think it was the media in the beginning, because when GPT-3 came out, and again, this is just a large language model that talks to you. But when ChatGPT 3 came out, people got all freaked out because it was the first time a piece of software that they were running in the cloud and actually taught itself how to multiply two-digit numbers. And it was never part of the instructions or what they're supposed to do. And everybody started to think Terminator and Skynet and all these movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's the end of the world that taught itself. I mean, it's a very small step, but when you start to be able to have conversation, that's what made all the hype. But every distributor's been using AI all along. If you go back to what machine learning is, I mean, I was one of the original guys with Lisp back in the 80s, and then I was a beta test site for Borland and Prolog, which were the two predecessors to any of this. But if you talk about machine learning, distributors, I mean, you can go back to your Prophet 21 and Eclipse and N4SX Enterprise and all these other packages have already built in symbolic logic. It's probably the most unused feature that any of these ERP systems put out, but it lets you set up if then else. And if you look at AI, what AI does, AI automates easy things that we used to do, and it does them faster and better and goes through the whole thing. It allows you to predict and solve things instead of having to do everything by yourself mentally. It actually does a lot of the work for you. And a simple example, we were involved developing this is going way back with Lisp, putting the architecture together to how do you make Campbell's tomato soup. And it's not somebody in an apron with a big vat. I mean, it's like it's awesome, actually, what they do, and the chemicals, and not the chemicals, just the control system and the process. And so what you did with Lisp, and it was basically, back then, it was all just Monte Carlo simulation and linear algebra. You'd come up with, all right, there's 20 variables. What's the temperature? What's the humidity? All these other things. And what you do is you put together a set of ranges. And so what happens once you get the pattern set up, anytime something happens, the software tells you what to do. It does it for you automatically. And so, the if then else in a distributor, typically what happens, and this would be a customer example, if the customer's got an active AR, right, we know they're an active customer. But they're a departing customer. If they bought from us this year, but we have no AR, they may be departing, and 90 days later with no activity, then they're X. And so you can start to measure. Once you set that up, it's a simple statement. And in Prophet 21 is an example. And so if customer class is A, and if it's been 60 days since we've had an order from them, automatically generate an email from the sales manager to the sales rep, said what happened at Acme Screen Door and Missile Supply, and let me know, and then copy the sales manager so that the system sent the letter to the sales guy. The whole point is making people aware of things so they catch it. The problem in distribution is it's easy to describe and it's hard to do, and so many things fall through the cracks. As an example, a lot of times distributors, they call up somebody just wants price and delivery, they give them a quote, And it may turn out that they're the lowest bid, but everybody's so busy doing quotes, nobody's got time to follow up on it. And so we never get the order. So the whole idea is that AI, and the people already paid for it, but nobody uses it. Now we're talking about a lot of other tools that are out there, and how do we do it? I mean, a lot of the things that you guys do, where you're sort of how you link outside and inside sales together so they're not dropping the baton. That's an example of AI or machine learning. It doesn't involve a large language model, but everybody's got all flipped out because of these large language models, which is a whole nother discussion.